Oscar Piastri entered the 2025 season as the embodiment of Formula One's new generation, calm, quick, and a genuine threat to anyone on the grid, including his own teammate, Lando Norris. But just 6 races were enough to shake what once looked like a solid foundation. From leading the championship for 15 laps, his confidence has wavered, his performance has dipped, and his title hopes are slowly slipping away. In the middle of this decline came the most piercing comment from one of F1's most brutally honest figures, Günther Steiner. The former Haas boss didn't sugarcoat anything, he went straight for the most sensitive point in Piastri's young career. Especially if he doesn't win the championship, I think he has a good chance to get another good car, Steiner said. It wasn't just criticism, it was a warning that Steiner sees something deeper than lost points. To him, perhaps McLaren isn't the best place for Piastri to grow. He continued, he's a good driver, and change can sometimes be good. He's young, he can adapt, and I think he will adapt. Those words placed Piastri at a crossroads: rescue this season, or consider something drastic. And when Steiner was pressed on what Piastri should do if he fails to stay in the title fight, he answered with disarming honesty, maybe too honest. He just needs to recover over the winter and come back stronger. If not, the best thing for him is to leave the team. That blunt assessment highlighted what many in the paddock have been whispering: Piastri's mentality has taken a hit, especially as Norris surges ahead with career-best form. Back-to-back wins in Mexico and Brazil didn't just elevate Norris in the standings, they confirmed that McLaren's development path seems better aligned with Lando than with Oscar. And from another direction, a familiar threat looms: Max Verstappen. Although his title chances are slim, he remains in the hunt for P2 in the championship. Steiner issued a sharp warning. If you say Oscar is mentally broken now, then Max will obviously be ahead of him. That statement wasn't casual, it was a siren. Piastri isn't just at risk of losing the world championship, he could lose his grip on second place altogether. And if Verstappen overtakes him, the storyline of McLaren's worst season for a title challenger will be almost impossible to dispute. Steiner closed with a reality check: Formula One waits for no one. Piastri must rise, or prepare for a harsh truth. And if the young Aussie truly considers all options, as Steiner suggests, then new drama may unfold next season. Will he stay loyal to McLaren, or open a new chapter elsewhere? One thing is certain, the 2025 season isn't just testing Piastri's speed. It's testing his resilience, and whether he can still be the future star many believed he would become. But the story turns darker when we dive into what truly lies behind Oscar Piastri's sudden decline. This is no longer just about lost points or failed strategies. It's about a young driver who finds the world around him shifting faster than he can adapt. About pressure that creeps in quietly, yet shakes the mental foundation of a potential world champion. The momentum that once lifted him now casts a long shadow over every lap. Every corner feels heavier, every mistake hits harder. And as he watches Norris pull away, not only in points but in confidence, the gap between hope and reality widens. Then came Steiner, adding fuel to the fire in his brutally honest fashion. When he said, if not, the best thing for him is to switch teams. It didn't sound like advice. It sounded like a verdict. A sentence echoing through the mind of a driver desperately trying to stay afloat in the middle of a storm. Inside the paddock, the whispers grew louder. What is really happening at McLaren? Has the car actually changed? Or has the team, intentionally or not, begun to build its universe with Norris, not Piastri, at its center? Nobody dares to answer openly, but everyone feels it. The bright aura of early season promise has faded into a thick fog surrounding his future. And then comes the darker silhouette looming over the championship: Max Verstappen. Not just because of his speed, but because of his unbreakable mental steel. When Steiner said, if Oscar is mentally destroyed now, then Max will be ahead of him, it sounded like a warning, a reminder that Piastri could lose more than a title. He could lose pride. Here lies the true drama: a young driver once seen as untouchable now stands on the edge of collapse. A season that began with brilliance has transformed into a tale of pressure, doubt, and time slipping away. The final 3 races are no longer about fighting for the championship but fighting for himself. Will Piastri rise above the doubt and finish the season with his head held high? Or is this the beginning of a turbulent new chapter, perhaps with a new team, new colors, and new hopes that may be brighter, or far darker? The 2025 season has shifted from a march to glory into a battle for survival. And as the world watches, one thing is certain: Oscar Piastri is no longer simply chasing a world title. He is chasing the best version of himself before it slips away. In the midst of the intense battle for the 2025 Formula One World Championship, Oscar Piastri's position has once again become a major focal point. After leading the standings for much of the season, a sharp decline in performance over the last 6 races has significantly weakened his title hopes. This situation has triggered a wave of analysis, including a firm opinion from former Haas team principal, Günther Steiner, who offered a blunt view on Piastri's future with McLaren. Steiner stated that Piastri should re-evaluate his place within the team if he ends the season without the championship. Especially if he doesn't win the championship, I think he has a good chance to get another good car, he said. His comments sparked discussions about whether McLaren is still the right environment for Piastri's long-term development, particularly at a moment when his teammate, Lando Norris, is rising in form at the most critical stage of the season. Logically, Piastri's sudden decline can be broken down into 2 major factors. The first is technical. In recent races, the McLaren car seems to have shifted toward a setup that better suits Norris's driving style. When development direction favors one driver, the other inevitably struggles. The second factor is non-technical. A steep drop in results within a short window can create heavy mental pressure, especially on a young driver fighting for his first title. Meanwhile, Norris, who was once 34 points behind, now finds himself in a strong momentum after back-to-back victories. The comparison between the 2 McLaren drivers highlights a dramatic contrast. Norris appears increasingly composed under pressure, while Piastri has yet to rediscover his early season rhythm. This divergence in handling difficult moments is one of the key reasons why the points gap has flipped so drastically. Pressure is also coming from outside the McLaren garage. Max Verstappen, despite trailing Norris by 49 points, remains a serious threat as the season enters its final stretch. Steiner pointed this out clearly: if you say Oscar is mentally gone now, then Max will be ahead of him, for sure. The statement reinforces the idea that mental decline late in the season can have a much larger impact than the loss of a few points. Verstappen's resilience is one of his defining traits. It was on display in Brazil, where he bounced back from a poor qualifying session to finish on the podium. If this performance trend continues, the scenario of Verstappen overtaking Piastri for the runner-up position is not speculation, it is a realistic possibility. Within this context, Steiner's suggestion that Piastri should consider options beyond McLaren carries logical weight. If the current environment no longer supports his maximum potential, a change may be necessary. Yet Steiner also emphasized that Piastri could simply reset, he just needs to recover over the winter and come back stronger. In other words, Steiner sees 2 clear paths: stay and rebuild, or look elsewhere for a team that offers greater stability. With 3 races remaining, Piastri's situation will depend on more than just car performance. He needs a blend of mental strength, adaptive strategy, and full support from the team. The narrative is no longer solely about becoming world champion, it's about proving he can rise again and remain one of Formula One's brightest talents. Over the coming weeks, answers to the questions surrounding Piastri's future will begin to take shape. Will he turn the season around, secure his place within McLaren, and finish strong? Or will 2025 become a turning point that pushes him toward opportunities outside the team that brought him to the top of the competition? Time is running out, and the racing world is watching closely as Oscar Piastri faces the